tonight on Life's Potluck Theater. There's nothing I should like better than to spend the day here, and as for dinner, I prefer to take potluck with my friends. Well, of course you will stay here to dinner, Leopold. We will dine early today. Order the carriage for 7 o'clock. You shame me with such meager hospitality. Why not invite your cousin, von Sonshove, to stay the night? He can leave early tomorrow morning. Sleep here, grandfather. But you don't understand. Really, we are unprepared to lodge visitors. What? Ha ha ha! We could lodge half a company. Half your company. But you forget that Jonker von Sonshove is accustomed to the luxuries of The Hague. Hi, I'm John Paulus. You're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet, and today's card is card number 4. There's a reason that our episode of Life's Potluck Theater tonight is from a novel, because card number 4 is about being like a good novelist. Be like a good novelist, show, don't tell. Instead of using words to describe your work, create a project that you show others. Meet people of a specific work community related to it. Ask friends, acquaintances, or family to introduce you to people. Sign up for an email list or join a communication platform of that community. Interact with people in it. Now, say a project that you want to show others. Did you think of anything? It helps a lot, I find, to create a project so that you have something to show rather than trying to explain what you're up to. You can then talk about the project in a way that is demonstrating what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it. All these things are important for your next step in your work life. Because once you have something to show, not only are you doing, but you're allowing your audience, your readers, to really take in for themselves what you are doing. The analogy here is with the novel. In the same way that readers create the novel in their head by reading the words, so you are allowing people that you're talking to who are in a work community or related communities or just out there in the world to understand what you're doing. It's the reason we provide examples when we explain to people our work history. It's the difference between saying generic words about who you are, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and having powerful stories to show what you are doing, how you do it, and why you do it. And that's very much the same thing as when fiction writers are trying to have their readers internalize the story that they're writing. And that's what this is about. This is about internalizing in your listeners, people who you are communicating to, what you are doing, so that they can take that with them and it stays with them, as opposed to staying with you. And the first step in that process is to show yourself what you are doing and how you're doing it, why you're doing it. In a sense, you are your first reader here. And by demonstrating that to yourself, you understand the mechanisms by which others can internalize what you are doing, and therefore so that you can clearly communicate what you are doing. Allowing your listener or your reader to internalize what's going on in a vivid way in which their imaginations are challenged to make connections that are beyond the words you are even saying in your story. And that is the most advanced level of communication that can possibly be had. The analogy here is the difference between an instruction manual and a novel. Instruction manuals tell you what to do. Novels show you what has been done. Perhaps there's a store in your area, I bet there is, where they sell furniture that you put together at home. There are a lot of hex wrenches involved. The point of the instructions there is to tell you how to put stuff together. When you tell rather than showing, it's like one of those instruction manuals with just words. And you don't know what part A or part B is, or this thing or that thing. That's why they have pictures, to show you what that particular hex nut looks like. That's why there's arrows. So when you're communicating about your work life and you have a project that basically has those arrows that can allow you to really paint a picture of what you are doing, rather than list instructions or list directions for a listener or a reader to puzzle over, then you're truly communicating clearly. You're giving the listener and the reader the help that they need to understand what you're saying. You can also have a buddy, as is the case with the instruction manual of the stores that I'm thinking of, because sometimes it's a heavy lift. On the YouTube channel for card number 4 is a great short clip with the novelist Octavia Butler. And in that clip, Octavia Butler focuses on something that good novelists do. Octavia Butler talks about how novelists work themselves into difficult situations. Octavia Butler describes it as getting themselves into trouble and playing a game where they get themselves into a corner and then they need to work themselves out of that corner. And that's where all the wonderful creativity happens. So when you're thinking about your project, whatever it's going to be, try to work yourself into a corner with the project. Try to get it to a place where you're in a little bit of trouble with the project. If it's a simple project for you, something that you know well how to do and have done a lot before, the results aren't going to be the same. If it's something that is a challenge to you, where you say, can I really do this? Remember I was talking about how I thought for years that I can't run. But I challenged myself and said, okay, I am going to try to get myself to the place where I can run a little bit. And now I can. So challenging yourself in that same way with this project is being like a good novelist, because you're working in a place of creativity and challenge, and you're rising to the occasion. And that's when all of us do our best work. Next time on Life's Potluck Theater. Kathy, are you busy this afternoon? Are you going anywhere? No, it is raining. Why have you that silk frock on then? Nobody coming here, I hope. Not that I know of, but you should be in the field now, Heathcliff. It's an hour past dinner time. I thought you were gone. Hindley does not often free us from his accursed presence. I'll not work any more today. I'll stay with you. Oh, but Joseph will tell you'd better go. Joseph is loading lime on the further side of Penistone Crags. It will take him till dark, and he'll never know. Well, while you are here, perhaps you should subscribe to Life's Potluck Buffet on YouTube. And like the video, too.